it's not just the record that is outstanding. It's the way the Brewers have gone about putting together this record. And Gord is the vice president and assistant general manager of the Milwaukee Brewers, and he joins Kevin Barker and myself on Baseball Central. Gord, thanks so much for doing this.
My pleasure. Good morning.
19-7. Where did that come from?
Well, we'd planned to be better and talked quite a bit in spring training about getting off to a good start, but I don't think anybody realistically envisioned this.
Well, I mean, a lot of people looked at this team in spring training, Gordon, and people said, there's a lot of nice pieces. There's a lot of things that seem to be fitting together well. What's been the key to this start, in particular, for a team to start the season 10-1 on the road? You don't often see that, especially in that division.
No, it's not been an easy road trip either, with some difficult games against playoff teams from last year. So I think pitching, first and foremost, the rotation has done a great job for us. Adding Matt Garza has made a big difference. It's created a lot of depth for us. Willie Peralta, a young pitcher, has really stepped up, and he's not that young pitcher anymore. He's a guy that you can have confidence in and can count on. And when those guys come out of the game after 6 or 7 innings, the bullpen has been lights out.
Mm-hmm. Now we'll switch things with Braun. Now, Miller Park, just like Fenway, has those weird, I guess you can say, configurations in right field. And I know Braun has taken from left to right field. How's that adjustment been for him?
Well, he's played a number of positions. He started as a third baseman. He transitioned to left field very seamlessly, and he's done the same in right. He's a gifted athlete, and
mm-hmm.
I think it took a couple of weeks of adjustments for the path of the ball change in right field for him. But, he's blessed with a lot of athleticism. He's got a great arm. He's got a pretty good knack for knowing where to be, and he's played it very well.
Sure. Ryan Braun is out for a couple more days, it's expected, with a strained oblique injury. Although apparently the MRI was probably the best case scenario in a lot of ways for the Brewers. Gord, how important was this start, knowing that Ryan was coming back and knowing that people might still be talking about PEDs and wondering about the impact on the team and was it going to be a distraction? I mean, all the storylines. You guys live it. But how important was a good start for to sort of remove that from the equation?
I think you got to go back to his suspension last year, and you look at probably about from the All-Star break on last year. Even without him and even without Aramis Ramirez, we dug ourselves a big enough hole that we weren't really a factor. But we played pretty well the second half, and a lot of younger players got their chance and did well, and I think it gave them confidence. And we all realize what Braun means to us. He's a clutch hitter. He's a guy that has the sense of the dramatic, hits a big home run at the big time, and clearly at home he's still welcomed and cheered and revered. But on the road, it does get pretty nasty. And I know I was with the team last weekend in Pittsburgh, and it seems to have the effect to really motivate him. It's not pleasant to hear, I'm sure, and I think we tend to sometimes forget these guys are humans, and they do have ears, and they hear what's being said, and they do have emotions. But for him, he turns it into a positive, and it tends to drive him.
Yeah. Now, Gord, how much has Carlos Gomez's game taken the attention and the heat away from Braun?
On the road, he shares some of the heat. But, he's a very, very passionate player. He plays the game with a lot of flair, which, quite frankly, I don't mind. I don't think there's enough of that in baseball. I think at times we forget we're in the entertainment business as well. So, there's the whole book of the unwritten rules, which I have to tell you I've not read, so I'm not sure I can tell you all of what's in there. But, he's a guy that is a great defender. He saves our pitching staff runs. He covers the gap so well, and he's become a very, very good hitter. And he's got power. He's become a more consistent hitter. He'll take some walks. He's hitting leadoff for us right now, kind of almost a Ricky Henderson type leadoff hitter with a little more power than you traditionally see in that spot. But he's well loved in Milwaukee. It was his big bobblehead day on the weekend, and even though we lost the game, it was a big day for him.
Mm-hmm.
Gord Ash is the assistant general manager, vice president of the Milwaukee Brewers, and he joins us on Baseball Central. You mentioned Matt Garza and the depth he's provided for the Royals, for, I guess, in some ways, a little bit of a comfort zone for the pitching staff. This was a guy with a lot of red flags going into his free agent season, and I know, frankly, Gord, you know as well as I do, there were teams that took a look at him and passed on him. What made you guys think that he was worth the gamble?
Well, it is a gamble, and he does have that medical history, and it's well documented, and our doctors look very thoroughly at it. But you have to not only take what you see in the medical file, you have to blend that with the person. And in this particular case, Garza is a guy that's going to find a way. He's going to will himself to pitch, and he's not a guy that's looking to make excuses about his medical condition. He's been first class in every way since he reported to spring training. He's a very hard worker. He knows his deficiencies in terms of his health. He works extra hard on that, and we've not had one concern at all. Now, obviously, it's a 4-year deal, and that's a long time, and we're going to see. But we've started off well here, and he's conditioned himself accordingly. He's smart about what he does in terms of pitch counts and how far he can push himself. So at least at this point, we're very well satisfied. But, there's no doubt there's a risk. There's a risk probably for every pitcher in Major League Baseball in terms of how long they're going to last and what level of health they're going to have.
Now, after the brawl in Pittsburgh, what's the thoughts around the club just as to make the team come closer together? Is that's the reason why this team has gotten off to such a good start, is because the team has come together and became sort of the bad boys of baseball, so to speak.
Well, we had that reputation back in 2008 and
Sure.
2011. Right. We were one of those teams that pulled our shirt jerseys out, and there were some antics with home run trots and so on, and we were a team that clubs didn't like very much. And quite frankly, I don't think anybody really enjoys that title, but at the same time, it seems to go hand in hand with us playing better. And, I think I go back to my earlier answer where this team started to gel halfway through last year when we went through all the adversity we went through. We have a good veteran coaching staff, a manager that has a calmness about him that I think helps the situation. And, it started in spring training. You could just sense that there was a different feel and a different vibe around the club in spring training. And, that's carried on. And as we all know, a very long season. But getting off to a good start, I think, helps carry you for a while.
Sure.
Gord, I like the way you guys played. I've always, and I thought back when you mentioned those teams in 2008 and around there, I kind of liked the little bit of swagger that the Brewers had. Is this team, do you think by the end of this year, is it going to have that same swagger that your teams had back then? Or does it already have it?
I mean, I think we already have it to a degree. I mean, we talked earlier about the clubs don't like us. Clubs don't like to play us. We've got a couple of players in particular that are a bit of a target. Our pitchers are aggressive. They'll pitch inside. We've got some big arms in the bullpen, same way. So I don't think they're going to take a back seat to anybody when it comes to respect. And I think last night, for instance, was a very big win for us because we've had the most difficult time playing in St. Louis, and to win an extra innings there, I think, only enhances the attitude coming here in April.
Yeah, and the Cardinals are always a tough matchup for Yovani Gallardo, and he certainly came through last night. It was funny you mentioned that the National League Central. I was down in Pittsburgh last year to do a couple of articles, and I saw Pittsburgh and the Cincinnati Reds play late in the season in September. And I mean, it was nasty. It was nasty. And I was talking to Dusty Baker before on game. He looked at me and said, "Where you been? The National League Central's like that." He said, there's a lot of ill will in that division. Now, you were in the American League East with the Jays. There is a lot of ill will in the Central, isn't there? Like there's four teams that don't like each other.
Very, very similar. Don't get the notoriety that the AL East does, but in terms of the number of games you play against these teams, a little different now with the Cubs, but, the proximity of Chicago to Milwaukee, that one was pretty nasty for a while. And, the Pirates, the Reds, the Cardinals, we seem to bring out the shall we call it the best or the most competitive aspect of each other, and it's good. I think it's entertaining for the fans and good for the game.